if it was a situation where this was competitive, we would stretch it out for as long as possible, but since it's not. So precedent for future is if it's competitive and we have a situation like this, we would try to wait. Obviously, to reach a certain point, and it's like, well, this is the last thing we have. We have to move on, so we have to do it. But if it's competitive, we wait. But it's not.
Hello, how are you? Dave,
Literally the definition of a rubber stamp.
that's we're in that awkward period. Is it a handshake or a bump or just a head nod?
At least we're not.
Yeah, you're right.
Your blank expression and blinking made me think, oh no, she's. We need to get her steel-toe boots. The city will pay for that. Oh, Mike, haven't seen you in a while, feels like.
Like that.
Are you commenting on how we have two sets of action items?
Yes, I was going to ask.
It's a typo.
Okay.
Okay, we will, I need to talk to Grace tomorrow about, well, what was the thing that you needed, that I needed for you? Business cards. I need to talk to Grace about the business cards, so we'll just try to talk about the steel-toe boots for Alex and for you. Well, I can talk to Grace about it tomorrow. You still.
Hey, Michael.
Wait till Sunday.
Oh, pretty good. Thanks for sharing those numbers. Looks like because you don't add in the Aggie transit, and I added it in, but looks like we're a little lower than February before the pandemic.
I think that the innovation factor, people said they used it when they could, and then so we can use it stage.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
They could be undercounted.
Yeah, because it is a manual process. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Guess I should scooch over where I can see the speaker here. Oops.
Proxy for Christina?
You're the proxy?
Yeah.
Okay, you can sit up here.
Okay. I just don't know.
Actually, being there tomorrow after is useless. Because we have policy tomorrow, not 2 weeks right now. Too long. I also have doctor's appointment tomorrow afternoon, so I will be, no, as soon as well. Unless for some reason, which is not completely outside the bounds of possibility, they drag one simple discussion or one simple action item off of reality. But no. I did this afternoon already. And see, that was, I think I've shot
No, I'm from EBAD. I'm Caballero. No, you're okay. No worries. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. It is after 4 o'clock, and we appear to have quorum.
Thank you. I will call to order the meeting of the Mesilla Valley Metropolitan Planning Organization Technical Advisory Committee for March 2nd, 2023. To start off, if we'll have everybody state their name here, and I'll start on my far right. And also as a reminder, as we make comments or motions, if you can state your name with the comment and motion for the recorder to know who it is. I'll start on my far right.
David Weir, City of Las Cruces.
Rod McGilvery, Town of Mesilla.
Ashley Curry, Las Cruces Public Schools.
Michael Garza, Doñana County Flood Commission.
Mike Bartholomew, City of Las Cruces Roadrunner Transit.
Charlene Santisteban for proxy for Christina Ainsworth, Doñana County.
Juan Caballero, EBAD.
First item is approval of the agenda. Other than changing number 6 to discussion items, was there any other changes to the?
No, Mr. Chair, there is not.
I'll take a motion for approval of the agenda.
Michael Garza, so moved.
Been moved.
David Weir, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passed. Approval of the minutes from February 2nd, 2023. Any corrections to the minutes that any of the committee members caught? If not, I'll take a motion for approval of the minutes.
Michael Garza, so moved.
Ashley Curry, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All approving the minutes of February 2nd, 2023, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion pass. Any members of the public wish to make comments at this time? No? Okay. First action item is the TAP, RTP, CRP project prioritizations, 5.1.
Dominic Loya for MPO staff. So today, Mr. Chair, we're going to have 2 presentations, one from EBID for CRP, the Carbon Reduction Program, and then we will have one for Transportation Alternatives Program from Las Cruces Public Schools. First up will be, and these are in the order that we received them. First up will be Elephant Butte Irrigation District and Mr. James Narvaez.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing today?
Welcome.
My name is James Narvaez. I work for the Alphabet Irrigation District. I'm the Irrigation Systems Director. I recognize a few here. I've been to a couple of these meetings so far, so it's pretty cool. No guy over here. I'm here today to present the Carbon Reduction Initiative, which is an opportunity that was out there that we decided to try to take advantage of, hopefully, and kind of show you what we're looking at to take advantage of this opportunity and hopefully get some electric vehicles out there and reduce some carbon in the air. Just to give you a quick history of the Alpha Beta Irrigation District, we're part of the Rio Grande project, which basically starts from the Alafine Butte and works its way down to the state line of Texas and also Mexico, some areas around Mexico there. So it's basically the river and the valley that runs through there, and we provide water to the farmers in the valley. Quick little history lesson, I guess. Water rights were appropriated back in 1906. We have approximately 90,640 water right acres here in the Alpha Beta Irrigation District. El Paso District, which is part of the Rio Grande project, has 69,000 of those water righted acres, which is, of course, in Texas. There's a little bit of meat that meanders through the state line around the tail end of our district, but it's mostly, obviously, in Texas. And then we also provide 60,000 acre-feet of water when that's available down to the Republic of Mexico, based off of the 1906 treaty. The dam was constructed back in 1917, and pretty much EBID has been around since then. And we've kind of, are historic here in the valley. The dam also produces hydropower. Caballo Dam is really where our holding reservoir. The canalization, or all the canals and the laterals and the drains, got put in back in the 1930s up through 1943. And the district is operated solely. We've paid back the Bureau of Reclamation, so we basically run everything down from Caballo down to the state line. Again, just to recap, we have 90,640 water right acres. 57% of the Rio Grande project is Alpha Beta Irrigation District. We have a 9-member board of director. We manage all the surface water of that comes down the river, and the groundwater is managed by and monitored by the state of New Mexico. Just a quick geography of the district. The actual boundaries are closer to 136, even though we have a water right of 90,000 acres. As you can see, parts of Rincon. Just a little bit of the Sierra County is also included in this one, but the majority is in Doñana County. But it runs through the two areas, this being up here in the Hatch Valley, Rincon Valley, and then, of course, the Mesilla Valley. It spans around 130 miles linear going down, but in there, we have about 600 miles of drains and canals that meander throughout the system. So in looking at the opportunity, we're trying to see how we could take advantage of it and hopefully, try to upgrade our fleet as well as, reduce the carbon. Just to kind of give you a background on what our fleet is like, we do have about 80 vehicles, and those consist of trucks mostly. And we also have heavy equipment, which is not included. I'm not including this here, but we have about 80 vehicles that we use as our fleet. And during the irrigation season, we have about 20 vehicles that run, a high use, I would say. They basically, the irrigation season can run anywhere between 2 and 9 months, depending on what the drought is doing. And if we get, a good season like we're hoping to get this year, maybe we'll get to 3 months this year, maybe even 4. Just depends on what happens. But a typical shift of a vehicle there runs 24 hours a day, and we run 7 days a week, anywhere from up to 230 miles per vehicle per day. Fuel consumption, about 2,300 gallons per week as well. And what we're trying to do with the CRP program is look at essentially a pilot program and looking at 5 electric vehicles that'll potentially save us 575 gallons of fuel per week. Primarily, we'll be looking at putting those here in the central area with a couple of our, maybe a couple of vehicles out on the outskirts, which is in Hatch, and also one down in Chamberino. We're also looking at trying to offset the electric consumption with some solar canopy systems that'll keep those vehicles charged as we alternate them through the shifts. Just to give you an idea of what the emissions are, just for a typical vehicle, I believe that averages 22 miles per gallon, which our trucks are nowhere near the average that good. But you're looking at about 4.6 metric tons of carbon emissions that a vehicle could put per year. But just on an irrigation season, on a 2-month irrigation season, an EBID truck can actually produce probably closer to 6.7 metric tons of that carbon. So That'll be a big savings there if we were to be able to take advantage of this program and reduce that amount of footprint that we put out there as a district. Of course, along with the environmental improvements with the carbon reduction, we're looking hopefully that this program will also add some AV stations to the network of the Doña Ana County. Trying to get one in Hatch to have a charging station there, as well as a charging station down in Chamberino. Of course, charging facility also in our main office here in Las Cruces. So we're hoping that will kind of persuade other people in the areas to be able to try to look at, upgrading to an EV type of vehicle. But that's basically the summary of the program itself. Is there any questions?
Any questions from the committee?
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Chair, we will have Las Cruces Public Schools for the Safe Routes to School program, and that'll be presented by Ms. Ashley Curry.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the TAC and members of the public. My name is Ashley Curry. I'm the Safe Routes to School coordinator for Las Cruces Public Schools. And I am here just to give you a brief overview of our funding proposal and our Safe Routes to School program. Safe Routes to School program inspires kids to walk and ride their bikes to school. Our goals are to make walking and biking safe, accessible, and fun. We have a policy within the school district that buses provide transportation for students either 1 mile, 1.5 or 2 miles, depending if they're elementary, middle, or high. And then walking and biking is assumed for the less than of that. So the goal would be to eliminate personal vehicles for the students to be able to get to school either by walking, biking, or busing. We teach pedestrian safety. Currently, we're in 3rd grade, and we teach a 4-part curriculum, including a field trip where kids get to go out and participate in walking in the community and learning how to be safe pedestrians. We work with the New Mexico Brain Injury Advisory Council, providing helmets to students. We work with STS Bus Company, teaching kids how to be safe around buses. And as I said, we go out in the community and the kids go for walks and learn how to interact with the facilities that are in place. We also have walking school buses and bike trains. So 19 of our schools currently have weekly opportunities for kids to gather together in a group and walk to school. And we have 5 schools that are currently monthly. So we have about 75 events that either walk or bike kids to school every month. Every year we participate in International Walk to School Day. We have 100% participation in this. All of our elementary schools participate, and we have been doing this program for about 15 years. We have our Family Bike Fiesta, which is a big fun event that is district-wide, open to all the students in the district, and it's coming up on April 29th. It'll be 9 a.m. to noon at Lynn Middle School, and it's an event where students can get their bikes repaired, they can work with codes enforcement, they can learn how to ride bikes without training wheels, they can make a pedal-powered smoothie. There are a number of activities that are provided for kids that day. We also teach kids how to ride their bikes without training wheels. We do this typically in collaboration with our partners at Las Cruces High School and the National Honor Society students there. We have after-school bike clubs where kids can get out on bikes and go ride. We have opportunities for staff to be on bikes. And we have a meeting every month where we meet with our partners and we talk about all of the things pertaining to the 6 E's of Safe Routes to School: education, encouragement, engineering, evaluation, equity, enforcement. Those are a list of some of our partners. Currently, we are staffed. I am a part-time employee, 28 hours per week. We have another champion who's 25 hours a week, 10 hours a week, and then we have walking school bus leaders at our schools. We are looking at this particular application to be able to increase our staffing, and you can see there the staffing that we'd like to increase it to, so from 65 to 130 hours per week. And we are requesting 317,343 total. That's including the 14.56% match. And this is our strategic plan. So all of our goals are outlined in a 5-year Safe Routes to School action plan. And so here are some of the highlights from that of the kinds of things that we'd like to do. So we just don't have staffing to be able to provide all that we would like to all of the students within the district. We are supported in other planning documents, including the Active Transportation Plan, Elevate Las Cruces, Doniana's plan, the New Mexico Pedestrian Safety Action Plan, and the MPO's plan. And as I mentioned, that's our cover of our 5-year Safe Routes to School action plan. And I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for this program? Doesn't look like there are any. Thank you. Looks like there's a lot that you do.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair. Dominic Loy for MPO staff. So in this case, we have 2 separate programs with 1 application each. Basically, it would be ranked number 1 for each program because one is transportation alternatives and one is carbon reduction. So we would request that the committee basically move forward with a recommendation to policy board.
Okay. And once this gets past the policy board, this is Mike Bartholomew, what's the process for these applications after that?
So we are having a special meeting tomorrow for policy board. If they are approved for policy board, they will be turned in basically before next Friday, which is March 10th is the deadline from the state. So it will be uploaded to the state's FTP website, and then from there it will go on and the state will rank those projects and decide which ones they are going to fund.
Okay, thank you. Any questions before we vote on this? So the recommendation of the MPO staff? If not, I'd take a recommendation to move forward with the EBID proposal for the Carbon Reduction Act program and the Safe Routes to Schools program for the, is it the TAP program, Transportation Alternatives Program? And this is a recommendation to the policy committee. Policy board, is that what it's called now? Policy board.
Michael Garza, so moved.
Rod McGilvery, second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any comments from the public before we do a final vote? Oh. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Second action item 5.2, amendments to the federal fiscal year 23-24 Unified Planning Work Program.
Mr. Andrew will be presenting this, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Technical Advisory Committee. This is Andrew Ray for MPO staff. We are presenting an item for your consideration this evening to amend the UPWP, which is the 2-year document that outlines both the fiscal and work activities of MPO staff for that period. The current UPWP was approved by the Policy Board last year and went into effect on October 1st of 2022. The UPWP is organized in sort of 2 ways with regards to the fiscal information. Historically, the state and the feds really only cared about what I'll call the categorical organization, which is the federal categories of the funding. However, this year, the state notified me that they also would like UPWP updates to be provided for the operational line item version of the organization. So that is what we are presenting to the Technical Advisory Committee this afternoon. As the administrative agent for the MPO, the City of Las Cruces gave us some salary increases at the very end of last year. after the last time that the UPWP was amended. And so we're bringing this forward with the changes for your consideration this afternoon. I do want to go ahead and highlight the oddity, since this was brought up at the BPAC, of even though the salaries went up, the benefits went down. That's because there were some selections made by MPO staff that even though the benefits did go up because of those choices that were made, the overall benefits cost to the overall MPO budget went down. And we request that TAC recommend approval of these amendments to the policy board, and the BPAC did recommend approval of these amendments at their February 21st meeting. And I will stand now for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Ray? So the changes, is it just a neutral change in the bottom line then?
Bottom line doesn't change. It was basically a reorganization, taking money out of operations and moving it into salary and benefits.
Okay. And then what was the fiscal year 21-22 support information that was listed? Is that?
Oh, did I mislead? I think I probably, instead of saying 23-24, yeah, it should have been 23-24. The support information is the UPWP draft starting on page 22.
Okay, thank you. Any, if there's no questions, any comments from the public on this requested change? If not, I will take a motion to recommend this to the amendments to the fiscal year 23-24 UPWP to the MPO Policy Board.
Ashley Curry, so moved.
Michael Garza, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We move to discussion item 6.1, activity centers and travel demand presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like at this time to introduce Dr. Michael McAdams.
Thank you.
Wait. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee. I'd like to talk about activities centers and travel demand. And this was a question that brought up by the policy committee too, so we're going to present to all three committees on this issue. What exactly are what activity centers or clusters or industrial, retail, service, and mixed-use land uses? Urban areas are concentration of activity centers that interact with other urban areas, and those are nearby urban areas and outside the region. Activity centers are a function of the size of the urban areas and other factors. Now, why do activity centers matter? Because what are they and what they do? They evolve, and they devolve too. You know, we can see that with the downtown area of our city, how it's devolved and it's kind of evolved again, right? And factors influence their growth and decline include population, technology, such as transportation, and the associated dynamics of an urban area. The study of urban form and agents and processes over the time has taught urban morphology. I did my dissertation on land use impact of our airport, including urban morphology. So I know this very well, probably too much sometimes. Now, the types of activity centers are commercial, industrial, parks and recreation, government transportation hubs such as airports. They also train stations, not so much more, transfer centers, colleges and universities, public assistance centers such as the Community Hope, and that provide meals, etc. Now, there's hierarchy. You can have major activity centers, and you can have different secondary activities with lesser concentration employee. Concentrate in urban core with a suburban area and exurban as well. Now, the activity centers and travel demand, there are numerous types of magnitudes of origins of trips, and the major producers of trips are residential areas, and commercial and industrial attract trips, and different composition of activity centers reflect the different levels of trip attraction and productions. Now we have several types of trips. One personal, we know that we all got here by personal or maybe to the bus. Motorized, and non-motorized pedestrian, bicycle, and also public transportation. Another factor is freight, and we're mainly going to talk about truck, but it can also include rail. Now, public transportation, a large part of the people traveling are those who use public transportation, and those are generally youth, 10 to 20, to about 30%, seniors, about 15%, adults who are not able to drive or disabilities, 55%, and low-income households with direct or limited access with vehicles. We don't realize how many people cannot drive, and it's good luck. I mean, good thing we have road transit and SRTD to transport these people that give them mobility. Now, this is called trip training, but this is really the system of how, sort of a visualization, how we think about production and traction. Production are generally, in this situation, would be households. So every morning we all go to work, right? And may we go to a bank, we may walk to a bank, drive to a bank, or maybe the pharmacy, we may go to a convenience store, et cetera. We come home, we may take our children to a soccer game, or maybe go to the pharmacy or go grocery shopping, and then come home too. This repeats over and over. Of course, it's multiplied in the urban area too. Here is a remote sensing image showing the impervious surfaces. And impervious surfaces are satellite imagery where the light reflects mainly concrete and asphalt, mostly concrete, and you see that, you can see the blob of Las Cruces area, and further on down, that of El Paso as well. So this helps define the urban area and understand that within those, there are different activity centers too, right? So it's one big agglomeration, urban core, and the other agglomerations of activity centers as well. Las Cruces area interacts with nearby communities in different levels of personal and truck trips. Now, looking at, oh, I missed something? Looking at this is for, I didn't miss it. This is from a thing called the Next Generation National Highway Travel Survey, OD, Origin Destination Data Portal. It's a very useful and a huge data set. And when you look at, most of the personal trips occur in our own urban area, right? Then others, we have 8% that goes to El Paso, and the others go to surrounding areas, kind of our commuter shed, and then others go to Phoenix, not so much, into Tucson and Albuquerque. Now, most of them are 87% are vehicles, but we have a good percentage that are 12%, which means public transit, bicycle, walking, et cetera, carpooling as well. And other interurban trips, you have more vehicle trips than personal trips. And you would think that work is more, but work is really a small percentage of trips. The reason why it's important is it's concentrated in certain hours. So the majority of trips are non-work trips. You know, truck travel, a little bit different. We have, most truck drivers go back and forth through El Paso, and the others to Phoenix, to Douglas, Arizona, which is the border town, to also Riverside, to another Yuma, Los Angeles, Nogales, border town too, Dallas, and that covers about almost 100% of all the truck travel. Now, a little bit opposite, we have the same more, but a little bit different with the Douglas area coming more destinations from there to us. If you want to also, there's a link I can send you to, just look at that if you're interested in looking at detailed work. Now, look at these, and activity centers can be centered those with the most employees, right? And you see here is the regular culprits to a certain degree. The areas on the East Mesa, along 70, and also along Lowman as well, and around that clusters area as well. The university, East University, are Dripping Springs with a hospital complex and an employment director of that. The downtown area and El Paseo, and some industrial areas, mostly on the west side, near Picacho and Amador. If you look at this translate directly into travel demand and volumes, you can see that real clearly. Lowman is one of the highest corridors as far as traffic volume goes, with North Main and US 70, because the residential areas also, there is also demand in that area too, with others a little bit lower as well, you know, still high. But two really dramatic patterns. When you look at bus stops, you look at, that's another way to measure travel demand too. And it's a complex map, but basically showing activity centers. And you notice that many activity centers have high riderships. The two highest are the Mesilla Valley Transfer Center, or Move It, and also at the Mesilla Valley Mall, there's amazing transfers. But the two highest you notice are around Walmart on Lowman near Walton, and also at Paseo at Walgreens and Albertson. So two major attractors, and then also minor ones. There's several in the university as well. So there's a bit of that. They change from day to day, well, from month to month, but basically, consistently, these have been the highest ones year to year. And also, well, mention another one is a Walmart on Valley. That stop there is often very high too as well. Now, if you look at why is activity centers important to travel demand modeling, and I do that, I've been doing it for a while now. And activity centers represent key points of traffic generation, right? Our generation can be of productions and attractions. So they're the major part of this in transit and in personal vehicle travel too. They have a major role in travel demand and for travel forecasting. Analyzing the factors that contribute to vehicle travel and non-motors is a key to transportation planning. These factors are part of travel demand modeling. This is called the four-step model, and it's been around for, gosh, almost as long as I have. And you look at trip generation is the number of trips to be made. That could be productions and attractions that's generated by certain factors. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then trip distribution, where the trips go, right? Because I explain to my students sometimes, people just don't get up in the car and just decide to wander around, you know, aimless. Some people do probably, but most of the time when we make trips, we have a schedule, we have a purpose. So trips all have purposes of some sort. Mode choice is how, when you make a trip decisions, which mode you're going to use. Bicycle, walking, public transit, vehicle. And trip assignment said, what routes will the trips take? Where are they going? What routes? That's basically looking, when you leave your home, with the first step, you know, a local, collector, arterial, and then you multiply these factors over and over, and that equals traffic volume. Now, this I combine some steps, so trip duration and where they go are where are they going, and trip distribution. And the factors that are responsible for trip generation, production, attractions are related to automobile ownership, the size of the household, the size of the urban areas. As a fact, we also do that in travel demand modeling. And then how the flows go is related to what's called the gravity model, how they're going to shift to different areas based on the amount of employment. And once the traffic generation is generated for traffic analysis zones, we collect them in zones instead of individually. It needs to determine which zone the trip goes, right? So that's the distribution. And then you modal splits. You know what's being generated, where they're going in the zone. Then you say, well, where are they going to split up? What mode are they going to take? And in most models, a modal split is not very well done because it's a small percentage in small urban areas. So that's sometimes not good to use for travel demand forecasting, for transit sometimes. It can be done. So you look at what move they're going to take, and then you look at what route are they going to take to get to their destination. Generally in vehicle travel and also public transportation, that's shortest path, but there are also factors you can put in Like when there's congestion, people decide not to take one route because of congestion or not, they switch routes. So that shifts the travel patterns overall. Remember that travel demand modeling is more of it's not a science, it's a science and art. It's based on estimations and validation of some of these factors, but still kind of fuzzy in how it's done. When you look at modal split, which route are they going to take? That's called trip assignment. So when you assign trips, what route, and overall for roads, where they go, what roads they're going to take. And generally because you're looking at capacity a lot of times, you're looking at peak hour travel, but also non-peak as well. But generally the computer assumes everyone will take the quickest route. That's not always true because you look at capacity restraint, means that if it gets to almost capacity or 90%, the people will switch. That's assuming a perfect world. But we know that's not a perfect world. So also sometimes some other factors that go in there too. To meet more route selection requires all kinds of information regarding actual prediction, suggestion level, road condition, yada, yada, yada. Be very brief. And traffic signals too. How do we know that the model predict regional trips? This is generally called calibration. So you look at things, how near is the pretty high level, like interstates, major arterials, how close is the predicted actual, coming to the actual travel? Then you have friction, you have factor, we up it, down, and the futures too. And also look, does it make sense? If you have a facility, you know that's normally 2,000 cars, but you're getting 20,000 cars, what do? It's not correct. Or in some situations, you'll have, like the interstate, you'll see a big band of traffic, but then it jumps off to an exit ramp, and that's probably the shortest path. So you have to do something. I had that with a model I was dealing with a long time ago. So you would look at common sense as well, you know. And model evaluations are usually done at least once a decade. We're doing that right now. And it's not an easy task sometimes too. Now, travel demand models require results that can assist decision makers. They're not predictive. They're for alternative analysis because you can maybe predict travel 5 years in advance, but beyond that, it gets fuzzier and fuzzier and fuzzier. But if you look at the price of doing highways, you know, tens of millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars, it goes to look at some kind of decision-making process, no matter how flawed it is. But generally, travel demand forecasting is considered a valid way of looking at alternatives. Small models like we have generally look at forecasts, highway volumes. Others can do much more with HOVs, high occupancy vehicles, and the functional characters of minor arterials and above. Because their aggregate nature, regional scope, travel demand models are not designed to forecast cyclist or pedestrian trips. These are another type of forecasting that's quite involved in kind of on the cutting edge, well, not cutting edge, but definitely complicated and not as validated or not as long-standing as the other models are, or the traditional 4-step models. And so activity centers are the nodes which form development, right? Activity centers pass, so we look at how our city has changed over time. And transportation planning is focused on the future of the network, right? What do we need in the future? We need more roads. We don't want more roads, but sometimes we have to expand capacity on roads too. Maybe we want to talk about, in such a situation, we notice that traffic is declining, particularly in the central area. Maybe we want to think about putting road dikes, et cetera, instead because there's not the demand anymore as well. So the new world and the open of pedestrian, public transit, and bicycles are opening a new factor. The models don't handle that very well, but we have to somehow input it into the model as well and make those considerations. But you can also look at, with travel demand modeling, you're like, what is the impact of a new development? How much traffic would it generate? That's traffic demand modeling. That's traffic impact, and you can do that with modeling too. Different scenarios can be examined in a travel demand model. Usually travel demand models, would take months, if not years, not months to run. Now they can be run in a matter of seconds. So we can easily develop different scenarios. Not easily, but much more easily we did before because the GIS component, and we use Transcad. I'm very pleased with that. And so we need, there's not one future, there's several futures you can envision. In the coming decades, new aspect of travel demand model will have to be addressed. And I stand for any questions or comments.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee?
Rod McGilvery for the record. Just curious, on the destinations, why were places of worship omitted from the destinations?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Guerrero, I'm sorry, those are definitely places, particularly we're looking at transit about expanding to Sunday hours too, so they definitely are places of activities. But generally, when you look at travel day and forecast, you look at peak hour. And so the place of worship would not be in peak hour as a rule. So that would not, that's what roads are designed, good or bad, for peak hour. So you're right. Those are definitely activity centers that could be considered and do have a factor sometime in traffic control as well.
Yes.
Dr. McAdams, Tim Pitts, for the record. Could you tell me what we're doing right now in terms of travel demand modeling? Are you doing any potential additions to the network, and are you evaluating when we're talking about new additions to roads in the East Mesa? Are you evaluating them and giving results to the member jurisdictions to have better decision making?
Mr. Pitts, Mr. Chair, we went through we switched from PTV to Transcad for the very reason. We calibrated the model, and that was done for free because we switched. And we put in the new 2020 data too. We're involved in several projects since that time on we're looking at different aspects of modeling and looking at validation. We're now involved in I can't say exactly, with a project around East Mesa, looking at impacts there as well. So, and that's that's what we're doing right now, and we'll be going more so into when we have the new MTP too as well. So we're involved. And one of the things that I found recently, that looking at volume capacity ratios, what they're studying right now on I-25 and US 70, that it won't be in 2050 or 2040, it won't be absolute capacity at 1-to-1, but it'll be very close to 70%. So there will be, of course, no surprise, more demand on 70 and other roads that are feeding 70 as well. Pretty good, but Baton Memorial. These are preliminary results, so don't pin me to them, but you can see the problem. And a lot of times you look at it, you know that these are going to happen. What they do is quantify them and give you an idea of the magnitude of the different areas you have. Now, in the future, do we want to expand the roadway, add more public transit, we can do other aspects? And I guess that will mean, if you have a future, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to address it with widen the road too. So that's a long answer, I think, what you asked me. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Oh, thank you, Michael.
Thank you too.
Next, we'll move on to committee and staff comments. Start with City of Las Cruces, or do you have any comments for today? No? Doña County?
None.
None? Town of Mesilla?
Rod McGilvery for the record, nothing to report.
Thank you. Las Cruces Public Schools?
Nothing to report at this time.
Myself, Roadrunner Transit, we really don't have anything new to report other than our first battery electric buses. We're still anticipating them coming in late April or early May of this year, our first 5 battery electric buses. We're hoping to have a charging infrastructure out at our new maintenance facilities being built out near Motel Boulevard in Amador. And that's all I have to report. Let's see, no RTD here today. NMDOT, they're not here either today. And how about MPO staff updates?
Dominic Loya for MPO staff. So staff has one update. We do have an ongoing call for projects for the Transportation Project Fund. This is state money. The projects are due on March 31st. This is basically the last Friday of the month for the Transportation Project Funds, and that is, like I said, all state money can be used for most transportation projects, infrastructure, things like that. Other than that, that's pretty much it. And like I said, we're hoping to see some applications on the 31st. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the public? No? Okay. I guess with that, I will take a motion for adjournment.
Ashley Curry, so moved.
Michael Garza, second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.